Good evening, everyone, and thanks a lot for IPA for giving this wonderful opportunity to present on this platform. I mean, this is my first time to join my hands with IPA, and it's privilege to be the part of this. Today, yes, I'm going to do the presentation on our recent development on the freeze drying processes, and also covering some additional topics of what are the new developments and the case studies we are doing on the formulations as well. So next slide, please. So I'm going to run this presentation through the four parts, which is majorly of, first two parts is focusing on the advanced formulations and developments. So what are the new, technologies we are adapting in the advanced formulations? And in the second part, of course, with these advanced formulations, how we are going to use the freeze drying technologies and the research on that. Part three, we are going to cover some case analysis on basis of this. And part four will be some pad tools and the latest configuration for the lyophilizer as a machine, what we can, adapt with this. Yeah, next slide, please. So, so part one, I'm going through, which is like, the current demands of the any healthcare industry today, and the focus of the entire research of the formulations which is going on in order to have, improved availability of the drug substances and the medicines all across the world, and also the prolong the time of the effect of the drugs for the individuals, and also achieve the targeted positioning of the drugs, so that we get the very targeted like kind of effect of the drugs for the individuals, and also the reduce the focus of any poisonous effect of the drug substances available. Yeah, next slide, please. So basically, nowadays the recent developments towards the formulations developments is going towards the microparticles, microspheres, and microcapsules, which are widely used as a constituents of the multi-particulate drug delivery systems, which is offering both the therapeutic and the technological advantage. Microparticles are generally in the range of 1 to 1000 micron in the size ranges, and that serves as a multi-unit drug delivery systems with a well-defined psychological effects. And in order to improve the effectiveness, tolerability, and patient compliances, so microparticles, microspheres, and the microcapsules are common constituents of the multi-particulate drug delivery systems, which is offering the numerous advantages based on their structural and the functional abilities. Their application is suitable for convenient and tolerable drug administrations via several routes. So depending on the formulations, they can be incorporated into different pharmaceutical doses, which is like, solid in form of the capsules or tablets or sachets, or in terms of semi-solid, which can be gels and creams, and also in the liquids, which is solutions, suspensions, and even the parenterals. Uh, yeah, next slide, please. So basically, as I said earlier, the microsphere actually is a particle which is either a homogeneous or a heterogeneous structures, which is depending on the pharmaceutical process. A microsphere is a kind of matrix which is completely homogeneous, dispersed, and either dissolved or homogeneously suspended. In terms of microcapsules, the microcapsules are heterogeneous particles where a membrane shell is covered by a shell surrounding the core of forming reservoir. So there are methods of how the particle formations are done. These particle formations having possessing a lot of methods how we can make that. So there is a method like air suspension method, space drying method, conservations, and the freeze drying is also one of the method which can be utilized. Now in air suspensions, it's nothing but we can call it as a fluid bed coating, where there is a great advantages in that during the process the particles suspend in the air as an inert gas, and the steam in constant mixing, it's relatively independently from each other, and then it forms the dry particles. Whereas in spray drying is widely used as an industry for microencapsulations for volatiles, probiotic, viable cells, having multiple advantages like there is uniform particle size, all steps are carried out in one apparatus, and use of the organic solvents and capabilities of encapsulating heat liable materials as well. However, freeze drying is also one of the successful method which can be adapted in the microencapsulation of the protein APIs. Of course, freeze drying is one of it is very high cost kind of a process, but despite that, the advantageous process for the heat sensitive molecules. Now, in the given figure, we can see that there's a calcium alginate microparticles, which is after freeze drying in figure B, it becomes like this. And after reconstitutions in the figure C, it is shown in that way. Yeah, next slide, please. So there are multiple advantages and disadvantages of the microspheres or the microparticles in the industry. So I have already listed it down, but I can majorly focus on the advantages, which are like the microsphere has the ability to blind and release the high concentration of the drugs, and it can be directly injected into the bodies, and it has a controllable variability in the drug release and degradation, and it is also like constant and prolonged therapeutic effect it is possessing, which also in turn reduces the dosing frequency required and thereby improves the patient's compliance. Of course, it is having some kind of disadvantages that it cannot be chewed or crushed, and there is a difference in the different dosages for the releases of the drugs. So those are the kind of advantages and disadvantages of the microparticles and microspheres. So with this, I mean, this is a very brief, not very brief, but just overall descriptions over the microparticles because it's a vast, big subject. But yeah, let's go to the next slide. We will start with the next slide here. Yeah, that is part two, which is like, freeze drying process technology, research and development sharing. So basically, we are going to use, we will cover up the important parameters of the freeze drying processes, the process effects on the drug, protective agents, and the devices which can be utilized to measure the important parameters of the freeze drying process of the drug. Yeah, next slide, please. Hello. Yeah, so basically, as a freeze drying, as a process itself, it is having the low protection mechanism what we have to adopt because, as I said, freeze drying process itself has a variety of stresses on the drugs. Now, these stresses can be, differentiated as the low temperature stresses or the freezing stresses or the drying stresses, and these stresses can result into formation of the dendritic ice crystal or increase in the ion concentration and the change of the pH value and the phase separations. Now, in order to protect those kind of stresses through the freeze drying processes, we can use some kind of the protective agent which plays a role in nullifying it. So protective agents for the active substances which are usually added to the drug formulations. Now, protective agent must possess the certain characteristics like the high glass transitions temperatures, poor water absorptions, and low crystallizations rate, and also no reducing group. So those are kind of the kind of uh, like characteristics the drug substance like the protective agent should possess. So there are some kind of a protein common protective agents which are available, which are used for this, and those are differentiated as like sugar protocol, polymers, and as anhydrous solvents, surfactants, amino acids, and salt and amines. These are the different kind of protective agents which are used in the in the protective agents format. Yeah, we go to the next slide. So as a freeze drying process, there are certain parameters which are very, very important for the, as a complete cycle. And we need to always try to understand for certain characteristics of the drugs while doing the freeze drying. So few of the like parameters are detection of the collapse temperatures and the glass state transition temperatures. So collapse temperatures, I mean, which is one of the critical parameters for the setup of the lyophilization process in the like, because at this temperature the material either melts or gets softened so that it cannot support its own structures and begins to flow. This is the reason the substance should be kept always below the collapse temperature while doing the primary drying in the lyophilizer. However, too low of the processes below the collapse temperatures will lead to the unacceptably slow progression of the complete cycle. Therefore, it is important to know what is the value of the critical temperature. For crystalline systems, the maximally tolerable temperature corresponds to the eutectic melting temperature. Only below the point is the system completely solid, but most freeze-dried formulation contains the amorphous phases. And in this case, the collapse temperature is very close to the glass transitional temperature as well. In many cases, the collapse temperatures is slightly higher than the glass transition temperature, which is the exact difference between the both of the temperature is very small. So it is very important to have the determination of the collapse temperatures and the glass transition temperatures for any freeze drying formulations. Yeah, next slide, please. So there are very many methods available to determine these kind of particular characteristics of the drugs. So one of the method is freeze drying microscopy, which is as shown in the figure, in the picture, is highly valuable technique for studying the behavior of the formulations during the freeze drying or determining the critical product temperatures. Now this freeze drying microscopy, it works somewhat like a miniature freeze dryer, where the sample is frozen inside a small microscopic chamber by using the liquid nitrogen. And by applying the vacuum, the temperature is gradually increased, which is we known as a drying process. And then the samples start drying. During this temperature RAM, the sublimation front is observed and recorded through a microscope. Now, changes in the dried layer can use to determine the state of the systems, whether amorphous or the crystalline, and the collapse temperature of the samples can be determined with this. So this is one of the instrument which can be used for determining the collapse temperature. Next slide. Another instrument is the DSC, which is we also call differential scanning calorimetry, which determines the glass transition temperatures. Now, DSC is an instrument which is designed to detect the changes in the specific heat of the materials as it takes place while passing the glass transition. So many lyophilized products stay in an amorphous form of after drying. As water shows a softener effect, the glass transition temperatures of the amorphous phase is directly related to the entrapped residual water content. Thus, DSC can be furthermore be utilized for determining the drying status of the materials as well. So not only like finding the temperature of like glass transition temperature, but also we use this as finding the drying of the product as well. Yeah, next slide, please. Now we are taking these kind of parameters which are used there for any kind of formulations for the freeze drying, and using all these above parameters, processes, and implementing into the low temperature protection mechanism what we were talking earlier. We have advanced study done with the client's expectations. So here we have taken paclitaxel, which is also known as a Taxol, which is a best natural anti-cancer compound, also known at the start of the research of the anti-cancers. Now, paclitaxel has a novel and complex chemical structure as shown, and it's a wide range of significant biological activity and new and unique mechanism for the action. Now, in this particular case study, the sample offered by the customer was a liposome suspension with a particle size of 150 to 160 nanometer containing paclitaxel and trehalose. Now, the expectation of the customer was the average particle size of the product after freeze drying should not exceed 15 nanometer, and DN should be less than 400 nanometer, and PDI does not increase significantly, and moisture content after freeze drying should be less than 2.5%. And the expectation of the freeze drying complete cycle was less than 6 days. Now we use particular 50 ml vial in this case with a 20 ml fill volume, and with available methods and all these temperatures, what we could determine with the use of the parameters, where you can see the collapse temperature is at 21.5 for 21.4 minus, and eutectic point is minus 28.83, and glass transition temperature was minus 28. With this, we have adapted the cycle, and then can you go to the next slide? Yeah, so we applied this particular recipe in the freeze dryer, where you can see the recipe on the right side with freezing done at minus 10 for 5 minutes, then another freezing for minus 10 again for 30 minutes hold, and then going for the freezing again at minus 40 temperatures for 5 minutes as a ramp, and 4 hours as a hold, then going for the vacuum and the drying. So this particular recipe was applied for the same product which was given by the client, and according to freeze drying recipe, we have started the cycle, and we got the results as shown in the left side in the picture. Now with these pictures, actually the conclusions what we have, can you go to the next slide? The conclusion is the sample was completely lyophilized, of course, and the moisture content was 0.93%. The lyophilization cycle was 69 hours in total. The product bottle has a powder crystalline but not uniform in this case. And the average particle size of the product was 17 nanometer after lyophilization, and DN was 380, and PDI was significantly amplified. So this was the results of the first recipe. I mean, with above result cycle, where the average particle size of the product after the last freeze dry was greater than the customer demand. So we adapted another cycle, which where we have focused on super cooling and quick freezing mode. Can you go to the next slide? Yeah. So in the next second, cycle, what we have adapted, that we have adapted this super cooling and quick freezing mode, which is help in retention time and make the product crystal and more delicate. So we applied this new recipe, and the photographic in this new recipe, yes, the freezing was done at minus 15 and also gone much deeper in minus 50 as well. And the whole time was even little longer. So with this particular cycle applied, we got the results as shown in the left side in the picture. And the conclusion we can take from this, next slide please. The sample was completely freeze-dried, and with a moisture content of 1.60%, and the freeze drying period is 66 hours. The product is easy to take off the bottles, and the crystal is fine and uniform. So after freeze drying, the average particle size of this particular product was 13 nanometer, which is less than what customers expected. And D90 is 380, and PDI is not significantly enlarged. So this is particular case study we have done for the low temperature protection mechanism. So these are the parameters which we could use and apply for the latest freeze drying technologies, and try to reduce the stresses on the product as well. With this, we go to the next part, which is the case study at the customer client, where we have used the particular mechanisms, and we have set up the machines also according to that. Can you go to the next slide? So this particular layout which is showing is a complete setup of the machines from a complete wildlife, from washer to tunnel, and then the while filling, half stopping, then lyophilization, full stopping, and then the capping machine. At the same time, we have also applied the same particular mechanism, and same particular layout is also adaptable for doing the API injections process as well. Whereas if you go to the next slide, there is one more layout where we have, next slide please, where we have a complete line with the 4 different lyophilizations and lyophilizers in place, and which can be used for a complete liquid freeze drying processes. Yeah, so this is about some case studies we have done, and then we go to the next part, which is the last part of PAT tools and the latest. Next slide please. Yeah, so latest PAT tools available in the market, and for the development of the lyophilizer. So Yeah, go to the next slide. So this is like our setup what is available in the market, which is Trucking Technologies and Romaco's joint manufacturing for the lyophilizers and filling machines under the isolator. So process technologies, go to the next slide. So process analytical technologies are introduced in pharmaceutical engineering, and it's a purpose to monitor the quality of the element of each processes. And so there are certain different technologies available which is used for significantly, optimize the product, optimize the cycle, and reduce the downtime, reduce the preparations of the machines, and also the cycles. So go to next slide. One of the available technology is available, which is called MKS inline process monitoring system. Now this is particularly a system which is used for this is an instrument basically which is used for giving the different composition of the gases inside the chamber of the lyophilizer. So once you install that, and you can adapt the technical advantage of it to determine the different concentration of the gases available inside the chamber. So there are also it can be used for the vacuum leak detections before the start of the cycles, and also the drawing endpoint live cycle verifications as well. Go to next. So in this particular thing, we can also see that this kind of MKS instrument can be used for silicon leak detections during the lyophilized production cycle. And also it can be used for refrigeration gas leak detections, also the system leak detections. So this can be used not only for determining the gases, but also for determining any leakages available inside the chamber before the start of the lyophilization cycle. Go to next. There are sensitive monitoring of water concentration, which is used for the optimizing the process and verification of the endpoints. So MKS in turn can also give you the concentration of the gases. At the same time, it can be also indirectly can be used to determine the end of the drying process. Go to next, right? So once you adapt this MKS inside the lyophilizer, this is kind of a SCADA, which is looks SCADA of lyophilizers, where you can have this RGA test, which is shown in the middle. If you click this button, we can adapt this MKS instruments inside the machine, and you get the results of the different composition of the gases automatically on the screen of the SCADA, which will be shown in the next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, so in this slide, basically, you can see there are different, concentration of the gases shown for H2O, silicon oil, and different masses. So these are the advantages of this particular gauge can be used for determining the compositions of inside the chamber of the lyophilizer. Another instrument which is available in the market. Can you go to next slide? Which is the TDLS, which is tunable diode laser absorption spectrometry. Now, this TDLS is working on the principle of the flux measurement, which is combined with the knowledge of the spool cross-sectional area, which provides the determination of the water vapor flow in grams per second and exiting the product from the drying chambers. So this is the flow measurements are integrated during the product drying cycle, and to provide the determination of the total water removed. So in this, basically, we can understand what is the total gas, total mass of the water vapor has been taken out. Go to next slide. So these are the different curves available, which is showing the different velocity of the mass flow during the different state of the freeze drying cycle from the chamber. So TDLS is very useful also for understanding the total mass flow, and also can be utilized for getting the total drying steps, the end of the drying as well. Yeah, go to next. Now, how to apply this TDLS in the lyo cycle? Like when the chamber is already under vacuum, then the sensor will show the zero or any. There is no speed of the water vapor. Once you start, then you have to just stop the data recording and start the H2O mass flow flux points. Now the sensor will automatically calculate the H2O which is removed from the beginning of the drying. It can be easily integrated in the lyo SCADA, and it will give the results. Comparing these kind of technologies with existing thermocouple and R&D technologies or the pressure speed measurement technologies, these above techniques are not directly measuring the mass flow or cannot be only used as a terminal detection method. However, PDLS and MKS can be very useful for the entire process. Yeah, next slide, please. Yeah, there is another method which is we can adopt in the new lyophilization available technology is the dual cooling cycle system, which is using the silicon oil for cooling down the shelves as well as the condensers, and which is having good results on the uniformity, and also the energy adjustments can be done. So these are the advantages available with the new technologies of dual cycle cooling systems. Go to next one. This is another method, like which is another development in front of the automatic loading system, because yes, the current automatic loading and loading system is having the pusher in the front, which is having the bellow as well. The cleaning of that bellow is quite challenging as per the regulatories as well. So now we have adapted these different structures altogether, where there is a two types of the pushers available. One small pusher is giving the small push of the wires to make the matrix, and once the entire matrix of the wires is formed for the entire shelf, there will be another pusher which will give the a complete push onto the shelves. So in this particular kind of development, we are avoiding the complete cleaning validations processes for the bellows, which is used for the longer pusher. So this is one development also in the sector available with the lyophilizer as a machine. Go to next slide. One more new technology, what I would not say very new, but it's already adopted in a couple of manufacturers across the industry, which is called fusion shelves. So these are the shelves which are, if you can see the blue color one, which is called the fusion shelf, is having the hollow baffle in between the shelves. However, earlier they were used to having the internal welding kind of shelves. So, there is a solid baffle in between. So in that particular region, there was no flow of the silicon oil. And because of the welding method, the thickness of the shelf was even bigger. Now, with the fusion shelves having the hollow baffle, the flow of the silicon oil can be everywhere. And also the thickness of the shelves has reduced down. So the brazing shelf is quite a very new technology and very useful technologies available for the shelf of the lyophilizers. Go to next slide. So if we talk about the advantages of the brazing shelf, there are many advantages associated with that, which is like giving the increased flatness for the shelves. So basically, there is a hollow structure which is having the metal to metal bonding area, which is much better than the welded shelves, six times almost better than the welded shelf. And since you can it's a hollow in the structure, you can put more baffles in the shelves, so which gives the more tougher strong shelves, and it reduces the risk of the non-alignment because of that. And since it's a hollow, so the 20% greater heat exchange area we are getting, because in case of the solid, there is no flow of the silicon oil through the solid areas, solid baffles. As I said, it's tougher hill, there is improved performance against the load, for sure. And of course, there is a reduction of the weight of the shells, because these shells can be, slightly lower in the width. Earlier, shells which was in the range of around 24 now it has been changed already to 18 of the width of the shelf. So because of that, what happens is the silicon oil quantity is also reduced, and then the power requirement for cooling and heating of the silicon also reduces. And it's also having the faster, response to the any kind of temperature requirement. It's also faster cooling down after the silicon sterilization cycle, and as well as the uniformity is better. Yeah, next slide, please. Now, many of us must have seen the effect of the frosting over the shell because of the welded structure. But if you go for the fusion welding, which is in the each picture you can see on the right side, there is no frosting effect seen on the shell because it is having the uniformity and silicon oil passing through everywhere. So that kind of frosting effect is avoided in this. This is how we are manufacturing the shelf, as well as there is a also a method of welding the entire shelf's border. So that particular steps also we are taking very automatically now. There is no manual welding available. So if you go to the next slide, there would be one video will be played how we are doing the robotic welding of for the shells border. So I think the media should be available with studio. I think they can play it. Yeah, so that video is particularly showing the entire automation process, what we are adapting for manufacturing this shelf. I mean, of course, the fusion welding is something which is individual shelf is getting formed inside the complete big vessels, and then having the borders of the shelves to be welded automatically with all the automations and the robotic processes, which is we are adapting. So this is all brief about my presentation about the latest developments in the freeze drying as a technology. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasenjit. It was very nice
Thank you, sir.
presentation. While I think Sneha talked about it, looking at that film, I think sci-fi, as if we are watching the sci-fi film, something unique. I think it was great. So that
Yes,
technology has already come into the engineering field. I hope
it
those
is.
technologies will come to the pharmaceutical field also within short time. I'm sure about it.
Right, sir.
Thank you for elaborating on the newer advances like the microprocessors. What are the changes which are MKS, TD-Last, dual cycle chambers, etc. Also on the alpha LS automatic loading systems. So, and also the new technology of the brazing for the improving the heat transfer. I think it was very interesting to know these things. I think there are a few questions come from the audience. First question is related to the, see, as pharma industry is looking for reduction, I think our cycle times in the lyophilizations are very large. It
Right.
varies from 24 hours to 72 hours to 96 hours to whatever time. I think 1 week also are not uncommon to see those things. Are there
Right.
any developments related to this to reduce the cycle time, to bring it to the, because currently also people adapt the trial and error method to bring out the, though there are some systems available to find out the cycle time, but the cycle time coming from those systems also is a large one.
Yeah.
So people still adopt trial and error. Are there any developments in this field related to the reduction in cycle time?
Uh, yes, sir. Thanks for a very nice question, actually. Yeah, there are multiple experiments, I would say, still going on in reduction of the cycle time and optimizing the cycle. So one of the factor which is in my presentation, which was shown, is the brazing shell, which is also one of the part, I can say, in helps in reducing the cycle time as well, because the cooling effect of the entire refrigeration system with these kind of shells will be much stronger and very uniform, and the product behavior, the heat transfer is also very good. I have a sample of the shelf with me here. See, this is like a very unique. It's having the seamless welding here and very thin, so that the volume of the silicon oil in this particular shelf will be lower. So the cooling time required for the silicon oil and the heating time required for the silicon oil will be much lower, and the effect the temperature transmissions to the product also will be faster because of the thickness of the plate is little smaller. Like that, yes, this will definitely helps in reductions of the cycle time as well. At the same time, there are certain different methods which different industries are working on, as you must be aware as well, that they are working on the nucleation part. They are also working on the ice fog. Nucleation is a kind of phenomenon which is trying to control the heat given up by the product during the drying state. So if we see the curves at particular step, there is a smaller heat given up by the product while doing the freezing. I think in the earlier method we were trying this annealing method, where you are cooling down, then they're heating a little bit so that the crystal can become bigger, and then again cooling down the product. So instead of annealing, we can have the nucleation kind of phenomena to introduce, so that you are forcing the entire chamber product to give up the heat at the same time, because in the traditional way the heat given up by the product will be different at a different particular, every vial will have its different heat exchange, and it will give up the heat at a different time. With a nucleation thing, you can also force to give up the heat at once for entire product, and this can also help in reduction of the timeline. Another phenomena is ice fog, which is introducing the ice fog inside the chamber and trying to force the entire product to freeze at one time. So yeah, there are different experiments which are going on to force the product entirely, and also to optimize the cycle in that way. So there are methods available, right?
Thank you, Prasenjit. There is one more question related to the continuous lyophilization. We heard that before few years back, some work was being done in continuous lyophilization.
Yeah.
Is any commercial models have come into the existence, or still it is on the R&D stage?
So those processes are still under R&D, because those are not viable to put in the big scale lyophilization. It is very useful for the small scale or the laboratory scale lyophilizer, but putting it in the commercial and big scale lyophilization, it's still a challenge, and the experiments are still going on with that. Of course, that is the future of the lyophilization, because as you know, the entire cycle of the lyophilization is too long and it's very expensive in turns. So if we have the continuous lyophilization would be definitely helpful for the entire industry for sure.
Sanjit, what is the biggest lyophilizer? I know up to 50 square meter. Is there bigger sizes are available than this for pharmaceutical use?
Honestly, if we talk about our company in China, we have done the lyophilizers of almost 120 square meters. That is for the API plant. But if you talk about sending a machine out of one country to another country, you have a limitation of the sizes because of the vessels and all. So yeah, I mean, in India, we sold up to 50 square meter already, and yeah, 50 square meter is quite available in the market. But yeah, for the API, you can have the customization done. For sizes, customization is always not a big challenge for the lyophilizer. It's a totally customized machine. So yeah, within China, we have done much bigger lyophilizers also.
I think there is one more question which can be clarified. Hariom Prakash Vishwakarma from Intas Pharma. He's asking, is the lyophilization process different from the freeze drying process?
No, it's one of the same terminology we are using, basically.
Different name.
Yeah.
I think that's all. Thank you very much. We are on the
Thanks.
time. Thank you very much, Sanjit, for the nice presentation.
Thanks a lot for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity, sir. Thank you.